Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Paul, and today we're taking a look at a very interesting light, the Imalent BL50. This is a pretty recent model. It's actually still hard to get in some areas, but I think it's very promising. You'll be very interested in it. First off though, a little disclaimer, this was sent for review directly by Imalent. They have, however, not provided any financial compensation and had no input into the outcome of this review and had no early previews or anything like that. So let's go ahead and jump in first of all with a bit of a size comparison. So channel staples, we have a 91mm Sasami knife here and a 58mm here. As this is a flashlight, let's go ahead and get some battery comparisons. So AA on top, AAA on the bottom, and then an 18650 as well. Let's go ahead and give a little bit of a girth comparison, if you would. So you can see this is quite a chunky boy, but it's still pretty easy to handle in the hand and fits into most pockets quite well. It is still overall quite a small EDC light. Going into first the unboxing experience, actually, because I was actually very surprised. So this comes in a box that has kind of a outer sleeve and then a magnetic box on the interior. It's a very nice soft touch material, good glossy graphics, nice release. It's a very premium experience that I was very pleased with, actually. Inside the box you're going to get the instruction manual, the light itself, this lanyard, which I think could have done with being just a slightly longer, but it does work just fine, as well as a rather thick power delivery capable USB-C cable, I believe, and that is C2C. And now on to the design of the flashlight itself. As you can see, we have a rounded portion and then a flat portion. This may be reminiscent to some people of weapon-mounted lights. This is actually a conscious design decision, in my opinion, for how this is intended to be held. This is more intended to be held in a reverse grip, so your fingers wrap around the round part quite nicely, and then this flat portion sits against the palm very comfortably. And the front, you can see here we have our LED with a nice smooth reflector, and this lower emitter here is actually a UV emitter. On the side we have a rubber port covering the USB-C charging input, a side switch, and an OLED side panel. On the rear we have the primary switch that you'll be controlling the light with, and then we have some attachment points kind of built into the design here for a lanyard. And then this I chose in royal blue. I think this is a very nice, very attractive color. The machined aluminium is aluminum to some people, is anodized very well. It's got this very nice soft touch. It's very well done. And let's go ahead and take a look at that charging part a little closer. So we have a thick rubber pad, but it doesn't actually sit into the port at all. It just kind of bends back here to reveal the USB-C here. And a quick look at that side panel there. Next up, let's go into the modes and general UI of the device. So this has two buttons to control it with. However, your primary button to interact with is going to be the rear tail clicky. These buttons are very, satisfyingly clicky, very reversed. So you can hear that. Very good quality buttons in my opinion. Now this side one is going to only have two functions, effectively turning the light off and going into moonlight mode and the UV mode, whereas most of the UI is controlled by the rear. So as you can see with a side switch, you press it once and it's going to it's going to display the level, which is just how they're calling the mode, the amount of lumens before going into a battery readout. Now this does display an icon as well as the voltage. This is considered fully charged at 4.2 volts, and this has a built-in 3000 milliamp hour high drain cell. Now if you double click this side button, you go into UV mode. Let me see if I can highlight that a little better. There we go. And it's suitably bright. It's quite usable. I played around with it in the kitchen, testing it out on banknotes and that kind of thing, and it works as well as you'd expect a UV emitter in an EDC light too. Now onto the rest of the mode. This does have mode memory, so if I'm going to tap this, it will come down to the lowest mode because that's what we had before. Now this is 5 lumens and it will last for 280 hours, and we cycle through just by holding the tail switch here. Next is what they call middle low. I don't know why middle's there, this is just low mode. This is 200 lumens and will last for 6 hours 28 minutes. That is a very impressive runtime. I'm very happy with that. Next up is middle 1, which is 600 lumens for 3 hours 10 minutes. Middle 2 is next up, and that's a whopping 1200 lumens for 1 hour 16 minutes. And get a little bit of PDW on that. There. High is next up, and that's 2000 lumens, and that will last for 3 minutes 30 seconds before stepping down to 1200 for a further 70 minutes. Double clicking will take us into turbo, and that is 3600 lumens for 70 seconds before it steps down to 1200 for another 68 minutes. Whilst in turbo, we can double click again and get into strobe mode, and then clicking again just turns it off. So we have a wide array of UI, different modes to use, and my main UI complaint in terms of the modes really is just that I would prefer if Moonlight was just a bit lower. 5 lumens is pretty high for a Moonlight mode, especially when we have this nice deep reflector giving it a good amount of throw. So I would rather that we keep the 5 lumens, but we also had a true Moonlight mode of about 0.5 or 1 lumen if possible. Now onto my thoughts in general, as well as some supplementary information. So now this does have a thermal control in it. If the internal temperature is 50 degrees, then it will step down to 1200 lumens, and if the internal temperature is 65 degrees, it will prevent you from going into turbo at all. The high drain cell that's built into the light has a max charging of 4.8 amps, and depending on the charger you use, will take 1.5 to 2 hours to charge fully. Now, I think this is very well built. This is probably one of the nicest constructed flashlights I've ever held, and I've held quite a few, let's be honest, with very, very good throw. I really like this screen. I like that it gives you both that information and then pivots into the more useful battery information. And when you're really low, this will start flashing every like 8 seconds or something like that to let you know that you should be charging it. I think the screen is a very nice touch. I think the design aesthetic is very, very nice, and I like that it's built-in USB-C charging. I took this on some walks, and to be honest, when I was using it, I primarily just used the 200 lumen mode, which is the basically the lowest actual bright mode you can use. And it was actually very good. I tended to hold it like this, however the design does favor you holding it in a reverse grip. And between the emitter and the 200 lumen count, it was more than adequate for walking down unlit paths, with more than enough power to break out to shine down a field or to see if there's a noise in the distance or anything like that. This is a very well built light with very good charging capability, and I'm overall just really happy with all of that. In terms of how this light could be perhaps improved a little bit, so my main thoughts there are the UI and a little bit of the design. So as you can see, this has no clip. The only way that you can carry this is loose in a pocket or by attaching the given lanyard or another lanyard to one of these holes. And that's fine. I would have preferred if a clip was an option. You can see we have some shallow milling here. They could have quite easily just made this milling just a little bit deeper and given you an optional clip. That would have been quite nice in my opinion. Or at the very least include a pouch, suitable belt pouch for the light in the box. I did take a quick look on the website and I couldn't see a pouch available for this light at all, although I'm sure you could find one separately. I would also like there to be a more convenient way of controlling the light. As I said, all of the UI is primarily controlled by the rear tail clicky, which means that the light really favors you holding it in a reverse grip in a more tactical method. That's fine occasionally, but that's not how I hold my lights most of the time. Most of the time I'm holding my light like this. And so I would like the option of being able to control the UI fully from this side switch. I think that it would be nice if they offered 2 UI modes that you could switch between. One that is basically as it is now, and then another one where you can primarily control it from the side switch, whereas the rear switch is then just given over to turbo, maybe a high mode, and the strobe. Because for a tactical light, having to click a button 4 times to get to strobe is a little bit confusing. Not just hard to do in the moment, but it's a little confusing that it's a tactical oriented light and strobe is kind of just buried that way. Overall, I think that a design UI philosophy more in line with, say, the Olight Warrior series, where you have a tactical tail switch aimed at the tactical parts of the light, and then a side switch aimed at the rest, would be a little bit more fitting, and you could do that with just some UI changes on this light. On the charging port, I like that it's USB-C charging. Let me see if I can get a cable here for you. My real complaint here is that this flap, I don't know how long this flap will last. So you can see we just have a solid thing, and you just bend this back, and by the time you actually put a cable in here, that's an extreme amount of flex for that to go through. You can see the charging animation here. I don't know how long this will last. I don't know how long until this extreme bending takes its toll and this no longer wants to fold flat, or if it gets ripped off, it perishes. You don't get another one of these included. Now this light does have a 24-month warranty, and it is rated to be, I believe, IP68 maybe? Yeah, I just checked, and fully IP68 water resistant. I don't know if this cover is actually meant to be part of that. If it is, I wouldn't really trust that for a prolonged period of time. I think that could be changed to be just a little bit more refined, and maybe make this user replaceable and include a spare in the box. Overall, I think the main things holding this light back a little bit is just the UI, the fact that it really is pushing you towards this reverse grip, but then it also doesn't include a clip or a pouch for you to carry it in a more tactical fashion. Just some kind of things where I think that the design philosophy could have just matched up with the reality a little bit more. That said, at £55, I think that this is exceptionally well made. I think it's very bright, very usable, and despite having some, say misgivings or minor criticisms of the light, I do think this is still usable. And if you have no issue with any of the problems that I have put forth, then maybe this light would interest you. If that is the case, you can find a link down in the description box below. But let me know what you think of the Imalent BL50. Do you want it? Have you played with it? Do you have any other Imalent products that you'd recommend me checking out? Because this is my first Imalent product, and I am very interested in it. And again, thank you for Imalent for sending this along. And if you would like to, whilst you're down there, also hit that subscribe and like. That would be a great help to the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel in a more direct way, please consider supporting on Patreon or with the channel membership system. But that's it. I've been Paul, and I will see you in the next video.